working with some biochemists across Asia, there's a new form factor out there that I think kind of hits all my boxes, right? Capsules, I personally don't like. They get stuck in my throat.
Okay.
Liquids, usually you can't mask the taste. And I think you know that. It's
Yeah.
harder to mask the taste, not impossible. But also powders, like the ones you put in your drink, like for workouts, like I'll put the powder in my drink, I'll shake it, I won't wash the cup, it'll get moldy, I'll throw it out, I'll buy a new cup. Like those none of that really spoke to me until I found this new jelly format, right? And that's kind of where the antithesis for creation for my idea started, right? Yeah.
The irony is, I've been looking for this jelly format forever.
Yeah,
I love you, Byron. But I've been looking for a water-based jelly solution. Every time I see a brand launch a water-based product too, I mean like a beverage, you're talking about weight now, freight, logistics, that eats into margins big time. Powders and capsules, everyone's doing it, so there's not that novelty factor anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember when I tasted your stuff at the trade show, I was like, man, this is amazing. This is literally what I've been looking for. You're able to mask the flavors pretty darn good, given how much actives are in that jelly sachet. And going back to TCM, right? Boy, I think we might draw a lot of wrath from our ancestors with this, right? TCM, right, historically is taking a bunch of different dried herbs. Either you're grinding it or you're steeping it, you're making a concoction. It smells like crap. It tastes even worse.
Takes so long,
right?
Yeah.
And then you're taking those whole herb, like what exactly in that specific herb was working? You don't know, right? That's the whole point of the scientific method, right? And that was actually the philosophy behind NuLiv science. Is like, we know ginseng has all these components. Which one actually does what, right? And that's where we're at today. So TCM, we're both TCM fellows.
Yeah.
Except you're actual doctor here.
not doctor, practitioner only.
8th generation.
Yes, that one's true.
But it was so awesome to have you come into the office today. 'Cause what we're actually going to talk about is all the unique headwinds you're facing now as a CPG brand, right? So you can tell us about your Austin. First of all, let's talk a little bit more about this product.
Let's have one. Let's show everyone what it is. So it's just like a little jelly stick. Our first product is a hangover jelly, so it's a liver protection. You take it while you're drinking, and it basically helps your liver process the toxic byproducts of alcohol much faster, right? You're still drunk, doesn't affect your BAC level, that's the ethanol, but the toxic byproducts, like the acetaldehyde has to be converted to acetone. This helps you convert it quicker. So not to encourage drinking, but at least allows you to drink without all those negative repercussions.
What is unique to Jelly IV than it is compared to those other common hangover pills?
So I know that in terms of form, I think there's not too much in terms of formula difference, right?
Okay.
Formula, I can say that I have whatever background, I cater my formula to the Western audience. I can say all that stuff, but I think that difference is minuscule, right? I think the biggest difference is compared to tablets and capsules, the bioavailability in a liquid is in a jelly is much closer to a liquid, right?
Right.
But the issues with liquids are direct sunlight, temperature affect the liquids very, very easily, right? Liquids are a lot more fragile. And because of that, oftentimes the product will have a lower shelf life. For example, this one is until 2026 March, right? So almost, I think, 2 years.
It's
like 2 years.
proof.
Yeah, it's apocalypse proof, right? Yeah, exactly, right? So I think from that standpoint, it's a little bit more unique.
Well, I wanted, I've already had one of these, but what's really cool about this, if you guys could kind of, it's like a jelly, right? So if you ever had Jello, right, for the layperson, it tastes like, so it's like a treat almost, right? Here we go. This is for you, Drew. Moist. Say this ASMR now. Jamie saying no. But like this, I think the format itself is hyper unique because there's literally nothing like this on the marketplace, right? So And then tell me more about Austin, right? So you went to
Yes.
Austin.
Yes.
You spent a ton of your own money.
Yes.
Would you say about 25% of your existing your
Yeah.
war chest?
Yeah, we spent like a good chunk of our war chest, close to that. We handed out 20,000 samples to all the people in Austin. This is Austin City Limits, and we actually got some interesting feedback that really made us take a step back. First of all, our ROI on that was essentially zero. I think we got too excited with the product. I myself am very susceptible to marketing. Alani knew. The second I tried the product, I liked it, and then I became a customer, right? I don't think everyone is as susceptible to marketing as I am, right? Right. Not everyone's looking for new CPG products to spend their money on, right?
Yeah.
So we did that. We handed out 20,000 samples. We actually got a lot of feedback from people, I guess they would be considered like Caucasians or in the interstates. A lot of them hated the texture.
Interesting.
Yeah, right? So as an Asian, I didn't realize that I did product testing with not just Asians, but white people, black people as well. But they were all people from Vancouver or Toronto, where there's a heavy Asian influence.
Right.
In Austin, people, I would say boba tea, they'd be like, what is boba tea? They didn't even know what boba tea was. There were maybe 2 boba tea shops in the whole city. And a lot of people were like gagging on the texture and they just couldn't handle it. So that's probably the reason why we're like, hey, like maybe this takes time to grow. Bubble tea didn't grow that quickly when it first came to America. It took time, but it grew through Asian roots first, right? So we're kind of switching, going back to Vegas, LA, going back to our Asian roots and trying to grow the product among Asians first and have them spread the product to other people. And I think that, at least growing up, I grew up not in Toronto, but in a small town, Halifax. So growing up, there was always a lot of racism towards my parents. Like I think like people would call my parents quacks, like TCM doesn't work, like there's no science behind it. And so that, I can't say, but part of that definitely made me hide the TCM route or the TCM aspect of this product. And I guess for your company, you guys have something similar. Like, is that something you guys have experienced or thought about as well? Like, how much do you want to promote the TCM aspect of your business versus the science side? Because they go hand in hand.
100%. I think for the first 15 years of our existence, we hid the fact that we were TCM based, right? My father arrived here in the state of upstate New York in '67, right?
Yeah.
He went to grad school in Utah in the early '70s, you know. So we hid that for a long time. I will almost say we're borderline ashamed of it. And only recently we're like, there's no point hiding what we do. Our solutions are rooted in the fact of thousands of years of traditional medicine. Just traditional medicine, whether you're Ayurvedic or TCM or even, traditional medicine found in Eastern Europe or South America, doesn't matter, right? Every culture has their own medicine, so to speak, that they've been using essentially off the land, right? The native local plants they could find off the land. So we've finally come around to embracing it. This is who we are. It's authentic. Going back to Austin, right? So you passed out 20,000 of the jelly IVs. The feedback was the texture was off. Was there any positive feedback?
There were definitely some people positive feedback. Some people had never heard of the product or the category before. So I think there's a big group of people like biohackers that go, if it works, I don't care what it tastes like, what it feels like.
I'm one of those,
yeah. It's just, if it works, I'm going to use it, right? So for those people, those were easy to convince. But I guess the issue is compared to our competitors that come in capsules, they may prefer the capsules a little bit more if there's not a big efficacy difference, right? There was definitely also a lot of positive feedback. Some people liked the flavor, some people didn't like the flavor. But overall, I think from us, it was just so great to be out there handing out the product because it was in product development for so long. Like the only people drinking with it were me and like our the friends that we had and the original test sample people, right?
Okay, so you spent, I'm not going to put out specific numbers, but let's say you spent...
I will.
Okay, yeah. I think people love this, right?
Yeah.
So your company is started with how much?
Yeah, so...
how much capital? Let's just tell all the future entrepreneurs.
Yeah. So I owned a college. So the reason I got this capital and I didn't have to do VC funding in the beginning was because I owned a college. I sold part of my college and I basically took all those funds and put them in towards the business. So that's around $200,000 USD. There's plenty of businesses that have started with less and grown to way further. So my idea was that if I can't make it with 200, then capital is not the excuse, right? Some people I think one of our competitors, Morning Recovery, it was started by a Korean guy.
Yeah.
He raised 250 from VCs, and that was his capital. Now his business is huge.
Right.
So it's I didn't feel like I still do think I'll probably need to invest and raise in the future, but I want to be able to present a positive growth before I go ask for money, because and here's another thing. I did do a friend and family round. My theory on that was I was so confident in it. I didn't necessarily want or need the money, but I wanted them to be able to share in my growth, and I wanted them to have the opportunity to support me if they wanted to, right? So it's a little bit of friends and family round, a little bit my own capital.
I think, I'm not obviously in the finance PE space, but we've seen a lot of brands come in, often undercapitalized, right? That's the nature of entrepreneurship. So you want to make sure, but going back to what you said, you can also have too much money without proving that you have a MVP, right? Minimally viable product.
Money goes fast too,
Yeah.
right? Like inventory alone for us is $50K, and that's done, right?
And it's sitting there is not turning a profit right now, right? So, so I think when you have too much money, you get lost in some marketing campaigns. You haven't proven the MVP yet. So I think where you're at right now is that sweet spot. You're like, okay, if I could just demonstrate this concept works without losing your, shirt, car at home, right? So you spent a good chunk of that on Austin. You're retreating back to what seemed like more authentic grassroots, targeting specific populations or demographics that would be more inclined to buy this product, right?
Yeah.
So what are those next steps looking like?
So I think part of the reason I'm on this podcast is I don't know what those next steps are. So I'm going to turn the question back to you. If you were in my shoes, what do you think the next steps would be?
Everyone.
Because you've worked with so many brands and you're so successful, right? I'm here to learn from you.
We're only successful through their success. So
Yeah.
it's a great partnership. A lot of lessons learned along the way, just like yourself, right? It's so funny. Our VP Ken Montez and I always talk about, like, man, if we had, because we're on the business-to-business side, so we never have a chance to explore or test the B2C side, right?
Yeah.
Like, if we had a brand, what would we do? We take a lot of elements of B2C to apply it to NuLiv Science on the B2B side, but I think you're 100% correct that you need to get the first, 1,000, 10,000 brand champions. I don't know how you get those first champions.
Yeah, I think that's the thing.
But you needed those first loyalists,
Yeah, I've bought businesses and worked in private equity and stuff before, but there's that big gap between 0 and 1,000, right? And in that gap, I don't know how to cross that divide, right? And so much of it is I know how to delegate, but actually going in and doing the work myself is something more foreign to me, and something that even jumping on these podcasts myself, I can't just give them to somebody else. I gotta be there doing the podcast.
Right.
I gotta edit the videos. I gotta do the TikTok dances myself.
Here's a really cool story. My friend from my 20s, her name's Vanessa Du. Shout out Vanessa. She was the co-founder of Health Day, right? Which is a kombucha company. And I remember in our 20s, we'll go out,
Kombucha was also Asian. I don't know if you know.
Yeah,
it was
she's
also
actually
Asian.
Cantonese. Yeah, so, we will go out clubbing. We will be going out to stuff, right? And we're in our 20s.
Yeah.
And she's like, she'll have to go home by, like, after dinner, by 8 p.m., right? And we're like, what's going on? Because she had to be up at 4 to drive 2 hours to, like, the Malibu's farmer's market. So for the first 2 years of that brand's existence, they grinded it at 1, 2, and 3 farmers markets, right? There's 3 of them, so they split up and did. After like 2 years of nonstop weekend grinding, did it catch the attention of Whole Foods, right? And even there, it wasn't instant success, right? I still remember a story like they test out, they'll try out a couple Whole Foods, and they'll try out a few more. Like they kept trialing to see if the concept worked or resonated with their audience, So I think when you're a CPG brand, there are no shortcuts in the beginning. It is all roll up your sleeves. As far as identifying that first 1,000, champions, brand champions, it's gonna be probably people in their 20s, maybe 30s, with some disposable income, right? Where would you find these people? I'm kind of curious now. I'm asking you.
So if you guys are in LA and you are an influencer hosting a party, DM us. We've been going to like underground raves and we've
Right.
been selling there, right?
Okay.
I don't know if you know this, but there's a lot of underground raves in LA. Won't name any names, but they basically just host these illegal parties and they sell alcohol there.
Right.
And I'm just contacting them, being like, "Hey, I'll set your bar. I'll sell these jellies for you as well, and I'll give you a cut, right?" So we've just been staying up till 5 or 6 a.m. every single weekend, going to all these parties,
okay.
handing them out, introducing the product, letting them know that, hey, you can go on a run tomorrow. Just because you're out till 5 a.m. drinking doesn't mean you can't go on an early morning run. Take this product, right? Showing them, because I think education's a big thing, but also one thing where we fucked up big time was this box is 15 jelly sticks inside. You know the
Yeah.
issue with that? We have to sell it for at least like 30 something dollars, right? At $2 to $3 a stick. But if it's a new product, new category, you're not going to drop close to 40, 50 bucks
Yeah.
to try it, right?
Yeah.
If we made the box half the size at 8 sticks, I think that would have helped us a lot because then you only have to pay 25 bucks to buy it, right? As opposed to 30 or
Can
40.
you pivot, or because you're stuck with all these boxes,
They
right?
came in I mean, I guess I could pivot. I mean, I could, find my cousins, get them to unpack and repack everything. But I don't think it's worth it. I think it's just the next launch. It's just live and learn. Like the next launch, we just have to make smaller boxes, right?
I
But
think
that's
you-
something I never knew. I
I
thought
think-
bigger boxes were better.
I think you hit it on a really good point. Because I was talking about this with someone else's. If you don't have that brand recognition or awareness yet, the first customer is very hesitant to spend $40 on something they never try, right?
Yeah.
Asking them
Plus shipping.
asking them to fork over $10 to try 3-4, like okay, that's
Yeah.
fine, right? So unless you're maybe to turn that into like a C-store pop-up where we could pick out one for like $3 or something.
Yeah.
Boy, now going back to that question, if this was me in your shoes, what would I do?
So why are you looking for a jelly manufacturer product?
Just to sample our stuff.
Ah, okay.
Sample our ingredients. Cause I love the texture too. I feed my kids this stuff. From a Korean brand for collagen.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's already native and natural to what our brain understands, right? Our palate. So
Yeah.
what would you do, Jared or Jamie? What would you guys do? You sponsor run clubs?
You want to sit down and get in here?
We got Jared Bryan in the house. He's also our second
going
videographer. So, Ravi brought up a really good question. How would you get the first 1,000 brand champions for Jelly Ivy?
I've already had it. It tastes awesome. I think you have two huge markets. Just listening to what you guys were already talking about. You have New York City would be a massive market right now, and LA. And then once it hits those two markets, then it just spreads like a virus. That being said, I would say run clubs are literally like
That's why I said
it's a virus on I hate them personally myself, but we know a couple of influencers on our side, and all the influencers kind of just run with the trends.
Yeah.
Every single one of them is in a run club, and every single one of them is wasted the night before, and then I see them struggling and they're running the next day, and I'm like, this is exactly the product that they're looking for.
Yeah.
Like that is the ideal. Like after this, I'll kind of I'll catch you some run clubs, so that way we can get you over there. But yeah, there's run clubs are the number one thing because run clubs aren't.
There's social clubs.
Yeah,
I
they're
always
not
thought
running
people who go to
anymore.
run club don't run, but
No, there's social
I guess
clubs.
they just go to date.
They-
Run club's
they-
the new dating.
Yeah.
It is the new Tinder.
Yeah.
It is the new Tinder. It is like it's a little face or Instagram like look at me. I'm active and like I'm in these group things, but it's just dating. All it is like dating, and then they run and then they go drink right afterwards. So I'm like, and before that they have a bunch of sponsors that do these run clubs that sponsor these run clubs, and it's usually like you're saying DJs or like drinks or anything.
Well, no, the run clubs now are sponsored by big ass companies, Nike,
Yeah, Nike does some of the run clubs.
My Protein UK.
But
right?
the nice thing is they're never really sanctioned. So they're never like someone like, hey, you can't be here because they're in the middle of the public. So if you're to show up with a product and start handing out at these run clubs or just kind of set up a truck, kind of put a vinyl on a truck and go through, there's no one stopping you. There's no one saying, hey, you got to pay to be here. I'd be like, I'm on the street right now. Like, I pay to be here. No, like, you guys aren't paying to be here.
Yeah.
So, like, especially Santa Monica, like, if I see another Santa Monica Run Club,
my God.
I will, like, but that's a huge opportunity for you guys because, like, all those people are drinking the night before, and then they have their run clubs, and then they're drinking after the run clubs because they'll go straight to breweries and all that. So I'm like, that's a huge market.
My favorite place in the world, a brewery.
Yeah.
So we need to get turkey pie.
Quick question: do you guys go to run clubs?
No,
I've been to one run club. Yeah, I
3 guys who don't talk about run clubs.
I've been to one run club.
Our brand's marketing, a lot of our clients' marketing. I'm happily married. I have kids in the morning. I don't run. I don't. You can,
Yeah.
I'm a old fogey that prefers elliptical. I have bad knees, bad ankles. But that was literally my first thought because run clubs are new social fabric. There's I wouldn't call it even a veneer of health because it is really healthy. People are running 2 miles, 3 miles.
It's good, yeah.
Because that's something that
Kind of.
depends on which run
Running,
club. So people in their 20s, 30s, and even older, like health is a component of it, but the social aspect and the fun aspect is the primary. And going back to what Jared said, like all you gotta do is be able to afford $6 for the meter maid, park your little your vinyl truck there, while people are running by, jealous. Or you can even work with the actual organizers. Start off small. I was just in Vancouver twice in August. You can hang out at Stanley Park, right? Just like hook people up, like.
Yeah, Vancouver has some decent run clubs too.
Yeah,
but
right.
the whole run club aspect is no one really wants to stay up late anymore. Like it's only the rave culture that really likes to stay up late. Like Gen Z kind of likes to go to bed a little early and like going out and like they wanna go eat really good food, drink, and then go home by like 10, and then be able to go out the next day and like be active and social, but still so like day drinking is a little bit of a bigger thing, and like active run culture, like they need things that gets them, that kind of forces them to be together as a group. So having these run clubs is their main niche to like just hang out with people, and like I stupidly showed up at one and I was like, all right, I'm gonna run today. And then I was like, these annoying people won't stop talking to me. Like I was like, I didn't come here to socialize. I came here to run.
All the girls are hitting on you.
Yeah, I was like, dude, I was like, yo, what? When are we running, guys? I was like, what's going on? I was like, are we gonna do a run today? And then they're just like socializing. Want a beer? I'm like, you guys are ridiculous. Like no one's running today.
Well, in defense of that run club, Jared and I were working out in Squamish. And this guy, Jared remember Jamie? Sat for an hour just warming up his hips. I'm like, are you ever going to touch a weight, bro?
Yeah, I hear about people getting injured, and I see people injured all the time. And I see them crying all the time. My hips hurt, my knees hurt, and everything.
It's true.
Never from this guy. I warm up, I do the proper things, and then, you know what? I think it shows.
Ooh, mic drop. All right. So going back to getting your first brand champions, right? Run clubs is an option. The raves, obviously, for you as well. What is a final third avenue? Because there's only a few of you.
What do you guys think about like? What do you guys think about like the online advertising, or like online, or just because there's a lot of brands that just do online only.
No way. I would not mess with that. We've seen it so many times. I've had my own side hustles that crashed and burned. If you can't demonstrate MVP, there's no point putting paid dollars behind it. Right now, there's another brand out there. Love you, Tristan. He has amazing EAA gummies with astragin. His story is amazing too because he's documenting everything on LinkedIn. Right, you get to follow everything, production delays, the cost of this rid up. He's sharing everything, full transparency. Right. And he's like, you know what? I'm not going to spend my limited marketing resources on influencers or content creators. I'm going to be a founder-led company, and I am the face of the brand right now. Until I've proven this product works, then you can scale, right? Then you can delegate. But until you've proven that concept with the first, really brand loyalists, you are really the entire marketing budget, you yourself, and Sarah, of course, who's hiding behind the camera right now.
She's a biochemist.
Our podcast.
Nerds are shy.
Yeah, it's like, but you guys are really the face and marketing budget, right? So at this juncture of your journey, you cannot delegate, right? As you said, so you're there at the run club. You're there until you could produce, replicate that success elsewhere, right? Also, you can't be in New York, LA, and Vancouver at the same time, you know.
Yeah, I would still go with some influencers because like
You're right with this. Maybe this might work.
Yeah, because you need feet on the ground. That's the main thing. Like you can be everywhere, but that's exhausting on your end, and your ROI of you being everywhere is not going to be worth it. Whether you can just send 5-10 boxes to an influencer up in New York City that is active participant in run clubs and can really broadcast the brand in a way you want, then kind of they can branch out. And then one of the days on the run clubs or anything like that, you can show up and then talk to people. But now you already have your you have your friend that's already in on it, and you're not the guy that just showed up and just is talking to people. You're like, hey, I'm with you guys. I'm already here. Like everyone already seen it before you showed up, and now they're just putting a face to a brand.
Sampling for sure, but like trying to pay an influencer $1,000 a post, all that stuff, trying to put ad dollars behind Meta, like no way, not in the beginning, no way, not. But yeah, like going back to what Jared said, so you find someone. The irony is Gen Z and people in their 40s have the same preferences. I like to go to bed by 10. But I still love drinking, so I just moved my drinking. I moved it up 8 hours. Yeah. It's like started a brewery at 4 or 3. So yeah, there's a lot of overlap there, but it's also an embrace of health because we work in the health space, right? So we want to be able to do active stuff the next day. So now I brought that up because like if you could find that person, right, whether it's 26 or 46 at a run club, it's probably gonna be Asian American female or male that's active, right, in a big ass city like what Jared said, New York City or Vancouver. Get that, or I mean, if you go to San Gabriel Valley, you have a huge community there, right? Get those first 5 people talking and scale up another 10, 20. Hopefully you can start building your email because email for everything people say about social, email lists still like absolutely critical.
You think so?
That is the bedrock of everything. Your email list is everything, especially the way Apple changed their advertising a couple years ago. The cookies don't follow anymore. All that stuff. You need your own email list, right? Because you can have a one-on-one conversation on top of your social, of course, right? But we've seen so many times your email list is what converts, right? If you run a marketing campaign, you might have a 40% open rate, right? So let's just do the math. You have 100,000 people on your 10,000 people on your email list, a successful email campaign, 40% open rate, that's 4,000 people. You get, let's say 5% click through that convert, right? That's 200 plus orders in just one email click that you just hit blast, right? It's not even you. It's already on marketing automation. It's just going out every Tuesday, Thursday, whatever, you know. So just find that initial champions. But I think what you said, Jared, you could definitely sample so it's not you stretch super thin. But yeah, trying to find that. I'm so curious if we could touch base again 6 months from now or 9 months from now. Is it the run clubs or some kind of fitness community that's working, or is it like the nightclub, nightlife that's working?
Yeah, it would be interesting to see.
Right, to see which one is panning out more, right? But yeah, like if you get this into people's hands who are going to be drinking anyways, but still embrace the element of health, which are probably going to be other folks with in urban centers with some degree of educational attainment.
Because I guess run club is also higher socioeconomic status too, right? Especially
Yeah, there's a little bit more higher socioeconomic status, right? To some degree.
I mean, if you're running in New York, you have to at least afford rent in New York.
Oh yeah, but it's more. I guess it's jumping up to that. It's a status thing. It's all the social things are morely a status thing. Because even going to like some raves, it would essentially be a different type of status thing. Like New York City raves, LA raves. Like to even be able to know about it would be like a status thing.
Yeah. And like, what do you guys think about the pricing of the product? Like 15 sticks in here. How much do you think that would? It's just how we explain. If you're a light drinker, 1 stick's enough. If you're a moderate drinker, we recommend 2 sticks. And if you're having a fun time, 3 or more, right?
If I was paying for this individually, $2.95, $3.50
Per stick?
as a C-store buy, a
Yeah.
convenience store one-time buy, right?
Yeah.
$3, $4 to moderate hangover. Now, if I'm buying a case, that better come down sub 2,
Yeah.
If I'm buying a lot of them.
Yeah,
if I'm
yeah.
buying like a 2-month supply or 45-day supply. Because then the use behavior changes. I'm not eating it once just before drinking.
You
I'm
probably
probably eating it every day just because I like the flavor
Yeah.
and taste.
Okay.
So the consumption behavior pattern has changed.
Okay.
So you go from a one-time impulse buy for a 21-year-old that could barely afford it. So maybe who could afford it a lot and they just want to eat it and it's healthy for your liver. You're
Yeah.
just naturally detoxifying your liver,
So at the raves, we've been selling 2 for $5, and so it's like 2 for $5, no hangover the next day. We think that's a pretty good value per
Yeah.
price point.
100%. It's and then
Come on,
I
for New York City.
yeah, I think that's a more than reasonable amount. And honestly, price is just the initial gap. Like once you have them, you have them. Like if I like a pre-workout, like I will pay like $100 for that pre-workout.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, this is the pre-workout I'm sold on. I'm stuck on this one. Like if they raise the prices,
You're
I'm
with
going
them,
with
yeah.
them.
That's true. There's a BCA out there, podiums, right? My wife will not try anything else I bring home. I'm like, so shout out Paul and Dylan for hooking my wife on your product.
Yeah, Podium is great.
Yeah, there's other, obviously there's countless other BCAAs, hydration products out there. There's something that formula works for her. She's sold and she's on it for life, So
Yeah, especially for drinking. Especially like drinking, people are very niche about things. Like, hey, I like my drink. This is the drink I like. But it all goes down to like,
I mean,
is it working for them?
The Zul tequila is not worth
Yeah.
what you pay for it. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got that bell and
so
Exactly. Like it's more of like, did it work for them? And then if it works for them, then you have a repeat customer.
so that's definitely one thing that was a learning thing for us because obviously it's my first CPG product. We wanted to price it more premium, but we feel like it may have to be like we start lower and then we just raise the prices as we build up the customer base instead of starting it more expensive.
I think that would be the smartest because if you're getting something, the best marketing, I feel like, is just putting a product in someone's hand.
Yeah.
And then pricing up at that, like Zuckerberg with the Oculus goggles,
Yeah.
he priced
Yeah.
it down ridiculously
Yeah.
low, as many people as got it as possible, and then he's like, okay, now I can just add things on.
But you had to prove they had an MVP again, a viable product in the first place that people will be willing to pay more money for.
Yeah.
Correct,
So-
and people in the beginning didn't think the
Yeah.
Oculus was worth it.
Yeah.
He priced it down, and they got their hands on it, and then people live in it, and I think that's the same aspect of this product. Like once you get it in people's hands, that's the hardest gap is just getting it into their hands. And once it's in their hands, then it's their choice whether they're going to fly with it. You've done all the back research and you've done everything to guarantee that once they get in their hands, they're going. So I think that's the biggest thing is price it low enough in the beginning, that startup phase. That's why everyone does the a Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So they
Kickstarter is a great way to prove that if your concept works because people actually fork over money.
Yeah.
You see big brands will launch new products.
well
concepts
that's
like-
proving if your marketing in the beginning works because
Yeah.
no one actually gets a product until
for
they're-
2 years.
But
2-3
that's
years.
but the way of it is they're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna get a deal in the beginning on this product,
Yeah.
and then later on down the line they're gonna raise it up, which they always do. But now you can kind of IRL Kickstarter where you're like, hey, I'm giving you a cheaper price because it's the beginning point, and then there's many products. I wish I would have known you guys are coming. I would have listed them out. Like I've been sold on many products because I've talked to the owner and they're like, here's the product. I'm not even gonna charge you anything. Here's the product. You try it out. And I went home and I was like, holy crap! Like, how have I not known about this before? Like, that owner is legit. Like, he is boots on the ground, getting product in people's hands.
Boots on the ground. What is your next steps for the next 60 days?
So I think we have we did a festival in Austin. We're going to be doing some street handouts in Las Vegas during Formula One. And then we're doing some like underground raves or like club sponsorships in LA. But I think we're going to add on to that the Run Club thing. I think what we're trying to do now is we see some of our competitor brands are really strong on socials, like they're influencers themselves. So we're trying to somehow incorporate that aspect. Like if we're hanging out at run clubs, maybe we go in with a big sign that goes like hungover, and the people who are hungover, they'll come over and do something entertaining, engaging, and then we'll be able to hand it to them then. Like he said, it's really hard for me to leverage my time while it's boots on the ground, especially because I do know I can get higher ROI on other aspects, but I also know that this low ROI part is an important part of the early steps, right? But I'm just trying to being able to leverage that as much as possible.
Right.
But hardest thing, I'm just trying to figure out how to get good at social media, right? I'm not.
Yeah.
It's tough putting yourself out there. It's tough speaking to the camera, especially because I was all private before, wasn't really an influencer, but. I think those things have to change.
I think maybe that's also part of our cultural upbringing. Just we're don't be that nail that sticks out, right?
Yeah. We're not Logan Paul's by nature. Yeah.
But I say this candidly. I really hope if you guys are back in LA 6, 9, 12 months from now, we can revisit this part 2 of this conversation, see where you guys are at. But really, you and your partner here. You guys could present yourself on social because if you're gonna be talking to other Asian Americans, I mean, it's not authentic, right? Like I'm speaking one-to-one with another person. You know? So.
Yeah, and let us know if you guys are in any LA run clubs. So we'll come by. I'll have Richard come out here running boots on the ground.
No.
Jamie's
over
there. There you go. Jamie out there run.
Yeah, Jamie will be running.
I already know you guys, so it's perfectly. I'm okay with socializing with you guys. Like I don't want to make new friends while I'm there. I just want to run.
Well, since we all know each other, we can just put our headphones on and actually run and do something extra.
You don't need to be in a run club to run, right? You can just run. If you're just looking to run.
I honestly was just looking for people to beat. I was like, okay, I thought I was going to a race, and I think that's where I messed it up. And I was like, okay, like I can beat all you guys at running club. They're like, it's actually not a race. And I was like, this sucks. I was like, this isn't fun anymore.
This is a everyone gets a trophy kind of race.
I think that's the millennial
exactly
competitive nature. Right? Gen Z's a lot more teamwork.
Yeah, millennial. I was like, I grew up on like COD servers, like. So I'm like, let's destroy each other.
I'm not winning unless you were losing.
Yeah, yeah, they're not for that at run clubs. It's very happy. Everyone's really and honestly, like if you're a very happy person and like when it be around a bunch of really happy people, run clubs are the way to go. And I think it's honestly a great situation. Like that's literally, I feel like if a product was made for run clubs, it would be this product.
And it's the packaging's there, the colors are there, the colorways there, the format's there, right? I mean, remember endurance athletes are already used to gels.
Yeah,
they're already used to gels, right? Like the Cliff Bar gels, right? Those energy gels.
Like the you're talking about like the cyclist gels.
Yeah, they're already
the
endurance athletes are already used to a very single servings, right? Now, obviously, this serves a different purpose. That might be a product line extension down the line.
So what do you guys think would be the best? Like, let's say 6 months from now, we're wildly successful. We got $1 million in sales. I'm gonna be talking to you guys about the next product line. What do you guys think the next? Because for us, it's form factor jelly AV. We think the gel form, jelly form is going to be. I like it more than the gel form.
Yeah.
Taste wise, right? But what do you guys think would be a great second product? Are we talking like electrolytes? Are we talking energy? Are we talking pre-workout?
I think that would depend on what resonates more. Does the more health-minded communities, tribes, when you target them, resonate, or is it the nightclub crowd that right? There was a water called Rescue Water. Have you heard of it?
Rescue Water? No.
Steve Aoki was a sponsor, right?
Yeah, Rescue Water.
I know that one. Yeah.
I used to drink it copious amounts, but this is like 15 years ago. And then I don't know what happened to that brand. Actually, I don't see it on the store shelves anymore.
Yeah, a great product. Honestly, after that would be I would say.
But that was a nightclub crowd that aged like me, had kids, and like we don't go clubbing anymore, so I don't need a Rescue Water. But I still go drinking, day drinking, but I can't find them anymore. So like, if something that you could just put in your diaper bag, like, you know.
I think that it was the marketing on that it wasn't there, but honestly, the everyday people are really like, especially the ones that are out drinking and everything, are really lacking in like the BCAA game. I think that would be a huge thing, because now you have, okay, take this. Is it before drinking?
While drinking, yeah.
You have while drinking,
During,
and then
before, yeah.
the next day, okay, like let's pump up your amino acids. Let's get like electrolytes back in your body. So a BCAA electrolyte would be
Hydration,
hydration back in there.
Yeah.
Like everyone really, like, until they try BCAAs and like a good workout, they're like, oh, it's just like a little flavored water drink.
Yeah.
And then once you're in like a workout, or once you're running that next day and you're still feeling a little fatigue, and you pop those BCAAs, you're like, okay, that little combination between the two is huge. And you're already in a market of like, okay, this is during drinking. Now you can label as during drinking, after.
So here's a question for you guys. You guys have similar products out there, and I'm assuming you guys haven't run like the full double-blind placebo clinical studies to be able to say, hey, we're scientifically better. How do you guys bridge that gap of kind of knowing it works but not having the 50 million?
So we study our ingredients in isolation. So we do have those double RCT studies. When it goes into a formula, of course, now you have different ingredients counteracting each other, right? We don't know, is this what interplay or what synergy is involved, right? Some big companies actually do their own human studies on their own formulas. But what we could present is, this is what we found. This is what we found. If you use one of our ingredients like astragin for BCAAs, it helps increase bioavailability, right? So there's that component there. I really love if you were to launch a second product, so something that everyone can use, universal design, EA, BCA, plus some kind of hydration element, right? Which is really just a little bit sodium, potassium, right? Glucose or dextrose, right? Like, you have that round 2 plus senactiv, right? Senactiv hydration goes.
Of course, senactiv.
And then, but I think step 1 is just trying to prove that this works, right? And it's so cool that you were able to share that. Gosh, I wish I had a smaller packaging.
That was.
So it's just these things that, you go to school all you want and you never learn until you actually get into the real world. And you're like, wait, oh crap, this is what I need to do,
Trial by fire.
And I think in the early days of entrepreneurship, it's like just constant pivot after pivot, Big packaging is small to big. Packaging design, color changes, even maybe a potential logo change, right? Like, you just don't know until you go out into the real world. And because the marketplace is the best decider of winners and losers.
Yeah, I would never think that. I would, honestly, I'd be on the same page as you. Is like texture. I'd be like, okay, like it's a gel and everything. I grew up in kind of more major cities, so like jumping over Austin, even so it's a major city, you're kind of working with more of the South, and they're kind of more like kind of bottled up with their textures on flavors.
They were straight up people like holding the jelly in their mouth and then running away to spit it out. Like, that's how. They couldn't handle how much they couldn't handle the texture.
Yeah, and I definitely think it's like I grew up where like Asians in my neighborhood are bountiful. Like it's everywhere, New York City, like DC, like LA, like all those places. Like it's like you're not like struggling to find Asians there until you go into like Austin. I understand, like, now that you're saying that, you're like, okay, it makes a lot of sense, because they're not running. If I've given some of my friends boba tea and they're just like, what the heck is happening right now?
Why these balls?
Yeah. They're like, I feel uncomfortable, and I was like, why? Just chew on them. What's going on? And I'm like, oh, okay, like
the texture,
I get it.
It's sensory experience. Sucks,
and I'm like, oh, okay.
We love it. I love it. I love the sensory texture.
Yeah, I was like, yo, bobas are awesome. Like, yeah, it's like a treat inside your drink. I was like, what are you missing? But they're just like, I don't know. It's just maybe because they haven't grown up around that. They're kind of grown up in the chicken nugget eating.
It's not fried.
Yeah. So
or
it's
chips, whatever. Cookies.
Well, they're used
Exactly.
to, a lot of them are used to popping pills. So, like, I would prefer to take up multiple capsules, right?
Yeah.
But growing up, I think like
That's
in
America.
Asian household, my parents were always like, they weren't promoting prescription drugs, right?
It was.
Nowadays, Gen Zs are like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Pop a pill.
So, thank you so much for coming here, guys.
Yes.
Thank you, Ravi, Sarah. Thank you, Jared, for your insightful run club. I was just gonna mention that. Stole my thunder there, bro. I'm kidding.
Sorry about that.
We can't wait to see what a second follow-up conversation is whenever next time you guys are in this area. I think a lot of viewers, at least future entrepreneurs, will also like to hear updates and to learn from your experiences. There's a famous person out there, the founder of Vanguard. I don't know his name, and it's a model I firmly believe in. Try to learn from other people's mistakes. It's a whole lot cheaper than try to keep reproducing your own mistakes or learn from your own mistakes. So, this was our first time we ever did something ad hoc, completely unscripted. Yeah. So thanks for coming by.
If you want to learn from my mistakes, Ravy Chen on Instagram or JellyIV Official.
Do you have an email that people can reach out to you?
Yeah, hello@jellyiv.com.
Are you doing updates like on the company?
I've been trying to, but I sit in front of the camera and I just, I spend so much time editing. I will. How about it? I'll make a commitment to you guys to do one every single week. And if I don't,
there you go.
I'll give you guys free JellyIV for life.
I'm gonna do that little the follow bell right on your guys' account.
Perfect.
We will stay updated. We have a team.
Awesome.
We got a team of professional stalkers here. So.
Yes.
Very nice.
Peace out, fam.